Hey everyone! The topic of luxury and are any of us really safe when it comes to the security of the things that we buy and that we own. And really I want to talk about the fact that you don't have to, I don't want this to be a scary video, okay? It's not, it's more to do with personal safety, and I've got a couple of story times to share with you. But it's just a kind of an awareness that you don't have to be on social media, putting yourself out there to be a major risk when it comes to this kind of thing. And one of the story times I'm going to share with you is about a friend of ours who was robbed really quite badly quite recently, and he's not on social media at all. And he has a thought or a theory on how it is that he was robbed, and it's another thing I need to share with you all because it's to do with friends. Nothing to do with social media. So some of the things that kind of can go on in London and probably all over the place, I would say, depending on where you go in London, one of you said to me a while ago, do you feel safe? In certain places, yeah, I do. But I don't walk around naively, and I used to be quite naive about it. And that's one of the stories I'm going to share with you, is of a time in my life where I was really quite naive and spatially unaware. But you do get gangs that go around on mopeds and they will ride up on pavements, snatch bags off you and ride off. What can you do about it? Not really that much. You also have this, and this is a concerning thing, you have what's called spotters, and I didn't know about this until I watched a police programme on it. But you'll get like a group of criminals and they might spot you, they might see a pricey watch you're wearing, they will follow you around for the day. If you go into a store, if you go for lunch, they'll follow you around. One will follow you and then they'll hand over to the next who will carry on following you. Sometimes people get followed back to their houses, and this is another really scary way that you can end up being the victim of a crime without even noticing it. So make sure when you're out, try and be spatially aware. I'm always looking to see who is looking. I've always got my eye out. I know I'm really aware of everything that's going on around me. Walk on the inside of the pavement. Particularly if there's people walking, try and get on the inside as much as you actually can, because that can give you some protection as well against like moped gangs. If you go out wearing any rings, particularly your engagement ring, one of the things I do is I flip it around the other way when I'm walking so you can't see it. But most of the time I don't even wear it out. And that's actually a whole other topic about what's the point in buying stuff if you end up not wearing it because you're scared of what could happen if you wear it. And I would really like to get your thoughts in the comments below on that topic actually. How many of you are very aware? How many of you buy things and then they sit on a shelf at home because you're not comfortable or feel safe enough to carry them out? How many of you do that? And what are your solutions around it? Do you end up never using them, or do you perhaps take them only on special occasions? Would love to get your thoughts, because quite a few of you who watch have questions either way, like what should I do? I don't feel safe, or do you know what? I go and use my stuff and I don't worry. A massive one, please do not carry things in pockets. This is mainly to do with the guys who watch. A friend of mine was pickpocketed about 3 weeks ago. He knew nothing about it and they pickpocketed his keys. That's all they got from him. Thankfully his car key wasn't on it. He was out at the time and he said that he was in a busy place and he kept getting barged. There was a person behind him that kept like kind of crashing into him when they didn't need to. And when he got home, he looked for his keys and didn't have them. He emptied out his pockets. Thank God they hadn't taken his phone. He didn't carry a wallet because he's got Apple Card Pay thingy. But they didn't take his phone and they didn't get his car key, but they took his bunch of home keys. Thankfully, his mum actually has a copy of his key, so he was able to get it. But he racked his brains about that, and he did come to the conclusion that he must have been pickpocketed, because there was no way they were going to drop out of his pocket. And actually he'd gone to the Tate Museum when he thought he lost them, and he'd phoned the Tate and they hadn't even had them handed in. So the chances were this person barging them, most likely pickpocketed. Don't carry your phone in your rear pocket, any of you, please. They're so easy to pinch out of your back pocket. Any of the guys watching, if you can, like I'm always telling David this, I'm like, please don't put your stuff in your jean pockets. wear something that's got like inner pockets, like a jacket or something like that, or get yourself a bag. I keep trying to get David to get himself a man bag, but he won't do it. Just do something where all of your stuff is in front of you and it's secure. Like you can get some really nice man bags that are, you know, the ones that like strap across the side of you and you've got the bag in the front. And then before I tell you these two story times, when it comes to putting stuff in your car, don't walk back to your car with a whole load of shopping bags and then put them in the car. I've done it before. I think I told you before, years ago. I went to the gym and I had my handbag with me. Didn't want to take it into the gym. Needed to get my gym kit out of the boot of the car. Went to the boot of the car, trunk of the car if you're in the US. Opened it up, put my handbag in, took my gym kit out. When I came back out of the gym around, like, let's say an hour later, somebody had smashed the back windscreen on my car and they'd taken my handbag. Now, thankfully, in taking the handbag, I remember they didn't get my wallet, and I don't know whether that's because it had fallen out or something, but they didn't get my wallet. They took the bag and there was like perfume in it and some makeup. But I loved that bag. It wasn't designer or anything, but I loved it. So, and that was someone who had quite clearly been watching me and they'd seen me put something in the boot of the car and take something out. So never do that. The thing to do, if you have stuff in your car, if you've driven to a car park and you've realised you want to leave your jacket in the car, don't leave it on display. Even if it's a denim jacket, you will always get someone who will, if they want to rob you hard enough, they'll rob you. And what I do is I never take the item from the car and then put it in the boot. I pull down the back seat and I put it into the boot that way. If you have got a car where you can't get to the boot through like a rear seat, like on my other car, I have to use the front bonnet to put stuff in. Shove stuff under the seats if you can, or do you know what, just take it with you even if you don't want to, because if it's in there, if someone wants to rob you enough, the car park I park in London is the worst for being robbed, and I have to make sure that there is nothing on display, not even a phone charger, nothing, hide everything. So these story times, I already just mentioned one there about how my car got broken into. I've got two, and I'm going to tell you one to do with our friend, and he got robbed just recently. He went on holiday, and when he got back from holiday, his house had been broken into, and he has quite a large collection of watches and bags, and the watches are actually in a safe, from what I remember. Anyway, he comes home from holiday, and when he gets inside his home, he discovers that the safe has actually been broken into. They've cut into it. And not only has every watch he owns gone, but his bags have gone as well. The only thing they didn't take was his car. He's got a McLaren. And the reason why they didn't take the car is he actually took the car keys with him on holiday, so they couldn't get to that. He was and is like a wreck. He's really scared in his own home. He's really upset, like the amount of money that he spent on building up his collection and they've just gone overnight. The police have not been helpful at all. He doesn't have any security cameras up. We were like, you need to do that. So he has no way of getting this stuff back. And his thoughts on how that has happened is to do with his friends, because he's not on social media, but he does like to go down the pub and he wears his nice stuff and people know the car he's got, they can see the watches he wears, and he's developed a full sense of security in the people that he knows. And even so it's his belief that someone knows what he's got because they're either an acquaintance, a friend, maybe a friend of a friend has told someone, maybe he's seen someone down the pub who he's never spoken to before, but that guy now knows roughly where he lives, the stuff that he owns. So do you see what I mean? You don't have to be on social media to be a target. The other thing is something that happened to me. Again, it happened to me way before I was on social media. I'd gone into a cafe on the King's Road in London with a friend of mine. We went to there was like a basement to it. So we went to the basement of this cafe and we were having like a coffee each. And I don't know why I did this. I don't do this anymore, but I used to put my bag on the floor just next to my chair, unless it was small, and then I'd have it in my lap. But I used to carry like quite large bags and you couldn't really put them on your lap at the time. Anyway, my bag's on the floor. This guy walks in, and Out of the whole downstairs of this coffee shop, of which there was no one there except the two of us, he sat on the table next to us, but he hadn't come down with a coffee. So you had to buy the coffee upstairs, and then you had to pay for it first. He'd come down without a coffee, and he was sat there particularly close to us, and he had a trench coat over his arm. And the one thing that gave away the fact that he'd just pickpocketed me was that he slid my bag across the floor using the tip of his toe. And because the bag happened to have studs on it, the metal against the wooden floor made a noise. I looked down and I could see the bag being moved towards me by his foot. Immediately I knew what he'd done. I didn't know what he'd taken at that point, but I knew he'd pickpocketed me. Myself and my friend were shouting thief. He got really nervous. He ended up dropping. He got really jittery, stood up immediately. We're both shouting thief at him. And from underneath his jacket, my wallet falls on the floor. I never have grabbed anything more quick in my life. I took it back, picked up my bag. He scuttled away. I've never seen a person move so fast. As we were shouting thief, he nipped up the stairs and exited the building. And we did tell the cafe, and they said they have a problem with him. And we're kind of like, well, if you've got a problem with him, why didn't you see him walking in? But these people are a master of disguise. He actually must have been a really rubbish robber, because I discovered quite quickly what he'd done. But it's things like that. You have to be so spatially aware. And that wasn't somebody who'd seen my social media. That was somebody who'd seen that I had a designer bag, a nice flashy bag. I'd put it on the floor next to me. I was in deep conversation with my friend. I was not paying attention, and he was opportunistic. And I bet he was so annoyed at himself that he got caught out like that and like dropped the wallet and stuff, because honestly, he could have walked away from that so easily. So definitely everyone, please be aware. Don't be complacent. At the same time, I do think we need to find a balance between actually being able to use our things and enjoy them, because as I say, what is the point of buying this stuff if we end up being too scared to use it? Also consider the places that you're going to. There will be certain places where it's just not safe to take these things. I've got loads of bags that are non-designer, non-big designer bags, and I take them to play. They're so gorgeous, I love them, and I just use them at places where using a designer bag is completely not appropriate and where I wouldn't actually feel safe using one. So build up a little collection of non-designer bags, of like artisan leather bags that don't have a big logo on them. I like to use Senrev. I love using Coach, but even Coach can be quite flashy in a lot of their monogram stuff. So just be aware. Build up a collection of non-designer stuff that you really love, that you can use on occasions where you don't want to take out like an Hermes bag that's over 10k or something. Be aware. Please don't put anything in pockets on coats or jeans or anything. Don't put things in pockets. If you're going to wear a backpack, don't wear it on your back, wear it on your front or hold it. And also another really good tip is, if you're going shopping, let's say you're going to go and buy your first Chanel handbag or your first Dior handbag or whatever it is. If you're going to go and buy it, sometimes I've done this actually, depending on my mood and whether I can remember to do it, but bring with you like a large supermarket bag, plastic carrier bag, and sometimes I will just put the little box containing whatever, like the bag or whatever, I'll keep it in an actual supermarket carrier bag and then walk back to the car with that, because it doesn't actually look like anything. It's not like a big carrier bag that's got like a logo across the front of it. And if it is your first purchase, and if you do want the carrier bag, still take it, but get them to roll it up and then shove it in the side of the supermarket bag. And even if you're not buying your first bag, that can be a really more confident way that you can enjoy your stuff if you've got to walk back to the car from where it is that you've ended up buying things from. David hates me in London when I'm on my own. If I've been shopping, he gets really stressed about it. He likes to be with me, but because of our work, we don't always necessarily get the same day off together, particularly in the winter when it gets dark early. Just everyone be aware and know, as I've said a million times, you haven't got to be on social media to be a target. I hope this hasn't freaked anyone out, just trying to help. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.